So welcome to today's weekly live show. This is another mindset session and some practical. I like to merge the two, and it really is following on from what we were talking about last week as well, when we were looking about mindset around class numbers. So all of this is quite interlinked. But yeah, welcome to the weekly live show. Welcome to the Yoga Teacher Collaborative. If you're new around here, because we've got lots of new members, we're normally nearly 3,000, I can't believe that. I'm Laura Green. I am a yoga teacher in Southampton, Hampshire. I am an author of the book Teaching Chair Yoga, and I am a teacher trainer and business mentor for yoga teachers, with a clear mission in this group to help us all thrive together. I so believe in what we are doing, and I believe to the core that the world is a better place for having yoga in it. Your communities are a better place for having you teaching yoga in it. Yoga changes lives, and you deserve to be well rewarded for that, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, financially, which is some of the crux of what we're doing today. So today's mindset session I have called Yoga and You, Marriage Counselling for Your Relationship with Yoga. Now that is quite a dramatic title, but you love yoga. You wouldn't be teaching yoga if you didn't. But it is also, for many of us, an income provider. It provides a sense of purpose, a sense of community, as well as being that thing you initially fell in love with as a student. So yoga is a really, really important relationship in your life. And it is like a marriage. I've been doing yoga for 22 years. I've been practicing yoga 22 years, and I have been with my husband for 21 years. Not married all of that time, but these are two major relationships in my life. I always think yoga was there first. And these important relationships, they go through ups and downs. They go through phases. They go through that initial infatuation, love, even a lust for it. Then they go through that moment of, oh my God, everybody needs to do yoga, and all of this passion. But then that constant turning up for your practice, turning up for your teaching takes discipline, commitment, and work, much like a marriage, much like all the other major relationships in your life. And every now and again, we need to pause, look at the relationship, do a little work, and do a little healing. So that's what we're doing today. Is a lot of it is an exercise I want you to do, and then I'm going to have some practical points for you as well. But what is really important is that we settle the nervous system, bring ourselves into a place of heart, mind, and soul before we go into the work, so that it's coming from a balanced and regulated place. So have a little fidget, get comfortable, whether you're sat in a chair, wherever you are, have a little fidget, and just maybe close the eyes. Roll out the shoulders a little bit and give the head a wiggle. Just any intuitive movement, anything that's going to help you settle into your body and settling into your seat. Gently rubbing your palms together and cupping those over your eyes. And you're probably looking at a screen or a device right now. Just blocking out that light with your hands. And come into that space of, rather than kind of watching, listening, observing today's session, actually come into you. This is about you and a really important relationship of yours. Coming into yourself right now. Keeping the eyes closed, slide the hands down the face a little bit, and just pitter-patter those fingers over your forehead, encouraging that mind to relax. And pitter-pattering down the side of your eyes, over your cheeks, and let the hands come down your neck, down your collarbones, into the center of your chest, around Anahata chakra. And then letting that pitter-patter stop. Just taking your left hand and start to circle over your heart space, over your chest. It might be a circle, it might be a rub. Just have a little tender, loving care to your body right now. And breathing into this heart space. And thinking of yoga as a being you're in a relationship with, something that has brought you so much joy, freedom, healing. Letting that left hand come to stillness, right hand on top. Bowing your head ever so slightly to the wisdom of your heart. And I'd like you to think all the way back to when you first fell in love with yoga. It might have been instantaneous, your first class. Might have been after a few classes, a few dates. When was that moment you're like, oh, this is my thing. Yoga gets me. Whatever your reaction was. And can you come back into that feeling? And imagine that you're experiencing that feeling right now. As you breathe into the chest, that feeling is magnifying. As if that moment was right here, right now. Let that feeling fill in you. That moment when you fell in love with yoga. Okay. And then relaxing the hands. And we'll try and sort of stay in that feeling sense. So one of the things, or the main thing I want us to look at today is what is it that you are asking yoga to be in your life? What role are you asking it to be? And to make this make sense, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a personal story. But, I said I've been with my husband for 21 years. And we'd been together for about 7 years or so. We weren't married then. I was still working in recruitment. And my job, I loved it. Absolutely loved working in recruitment, and it's quite addictive. Okay? And it was the only thing I was making time for. I was getting into the office about 7 a.m. and I was getting home 7, 8, even 9 p.m. trying to catch candidates outside of work hours. And I loved it. Said it was really addictive. And being good at it had become part of my identity. But it was leaving time for absolutely nothing else. I was barely getting to a yoga practice. I was not getting to any of my other hobbies. I'm a musician at the time. I like to bake. And I wasn't having any quality time, particularly with my husband then. And I started to not feel myself. I wasn't feeling happy. Even though I loved my job, I wasn't feeling happy. And I put that onto my husband. I expected him to be fulfilling every other part of my needs that recruitment wasn't. I was expecting him to make me feel loved, nourished, cared for, entertained, everything we need. I was putting that onto him. And when I wasn't feeling happy, I put that onto him, rather than seeing it's actually I wasn't meeting my own needs because I channeled everything into work. We have differing needs. Now I want you to write these down, but I also want you to add your own because I've just been brainstorming this. So what are some of the needs we have that might be met or you might be trying to meet solely through yoga? So let's start with income. Are you needing, and some of you might be yes, some of you might be no on this, okay? We've got lots of categories, and I want you just to see which ones resonate for you. Are you needing yoga to meet an income need? I am, yoga is my sole income. It has to pay my bills, my mortgage, everything, okay? And that's okay, okay? Or is yoga something that you don't do for the income? Okay? Then what's another category? A sense of purpose. So is your yoga giving you your main sense of purpose, that you are a yoga teacher? Or do you have other things that are giving you a sense of purpose in your day-to-day life? And there's no right or wrong with this. I just want to see how many pockets yoga is having to be the thing for. Okay? So So is yoga having to be the thing for income? Yes, for me. Is yoga having to be the thing that gives you a sense of purpose? It's up there for me. Yeah, it's a lot of my sense of purpose comes from teaching. Is yoga having to give you your sense of self-worth? Now, this is what we were looking at last week. We don't want your sense of self-worth to be tied to how many students are in your class, to how good you feel as a yoga teacher. We want to make sure that we are doing practices that are developing our own self-worth, knowing that we are good enough exactly here, now, and who we are. Okay? Then more kind of easy categories. Are you asking yoga to be your sole form of physical movement and or exercise? Or do you have any other kind of movement practices, exercise practices? There's no right or wrong on this. Then what about your sense of spirituality? Is yoga where you find and go to for a spiritual connection? Or are you finding other ways in your life to give you a sense of spiritual connection? What about friendships? Is yoga providing you or needing to provide you with all of your friendships? For me, pretty much yes. Most of my closest friends are all yoga teachers. So yes, for me, but maybe actually you have a separate group of friends, yoga's not giving that to you, that are completely outside of yoga, they think you're nutty, they don't even come to class. You know, what is it having to do there? What about your educational needs? As humans, I really believe a core need of ours is to always be learning. Okay? And this might resonate with you, it might not, but I certainly feel this need to always be learning. Now again, are you making yoga completely fill that need to always be learning? Think about here, what courses are you doing? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Are you only taking in yoga there? So a real classic when I noticed this was I've always got a million yoga books I want to read because yoga is fascinating and there's always more to learn. And then when I was going on holiday, I would only pack yoga books because I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to get some yoga reading done. And then I'd get on my holiday destination and I wouldn't want to pick up that yoga book. And I wished I'd bought, a novel or something totally different. I always have multiple books on the go, something I'm reading, often a fiction book and often a yoga book. Then I'll have something I'm listening to and an audio book, not normally ever yoga. And then I've got a few podcasts I listen to on repeat. So today I was actually listening to one of the Yogaland podcasts, but I only make sure maybe one of the things I'm watching, listening to, reading in the week is yoga. I make sure everything else is some fiction, some fun. I'm listening to the Daisy Jones and the Six audiobook at the moment. Something that's educational from a different angle. So Myth of Normal is something I'm listening to at the moment by Gabor Mate. So making sure that you've got lots of different educational stimuluses, and you can come in phases with this as well. So last year I was doing a lot of yoga educational learning for myself. Did an amazing Sanskrit course with Julie Hemmings. I did a course with Jill Miller. I was very much learning on the yoga side. But this year, completely different. My learning, I'm in a 12-month course on astrology and cosmology. Yes, they interweave, but it's totally separate. So I alternate with that. So we have an educational need that we want to meet, but come on, let's get it a little broader than just yoga. And you'll feel it influence your yoga anyway. Now we've already mentioned friendships, but what about community? Is your need for community being met just by yoga, or have you got other aspects of community in your area? And my husband and I have a great neighbours where we are. There's a real sense of community in our local neighbourhood. What about fun? Is yoga having to be what's fun in your life, or have you got other hobbies that you're doing, other things that are bringing you fun? So that was just some of the categories I've written down. I'm sure there are others as well, but I want you to think, how many of these areas of your life are you asking yoga to meet? And if it's over about 50% of them, that is way too much pressure to be putting on that relationship. It is not fair to ask yoga to meet all of those needs, to give you your community, to give you your friends, to give you your education, to give you your income, to give you your sense of self-worth, to give you your sense of spirituality, to be your only exercise and movement practice. That is going to oversaturate that relationship and burn it out. Okay? So I'm only saying if it's, again, it'll be different for all of us, if it's about 50% or so. So yes, yoga is giving me my sense of income. Yoga is giving me my sense of purpose. Exercise and movement, not so much actually. I have my own yoga practice, but I spend a lot of time walking and or at the gym. I'm not asking yoga to meet that need. It is meeting my spiritual needs as well as nature. It is meeting my friendship needs. Okay? So just think, how much are you asking on that relationship, and can you broaden it? Then I wanted to look a little bit more at how we're meeting our own needs. What is it, in the sense of meeting needs, that you give to your students? So for instance, when someone comes to your class, do your students feel held by you? Do you make them feel safe? Do you make them feel seen, heard, mothered, accountable? How is it that you are holding space for your students? And then where are you having that space held for you? And this is really important and often overlooked. So for instance, if your main role as a yoga teacher, you're really holding space for your students in a sense of accountability, seen and heard, who's doing that for you? So who is holding you accountable? Who is making you feel seen and heard? And if you think about this in a yoga class, our students talk to us a lot about their physical and emotional needs. We are often a kind of dumping ground, aren't we? Because we're safe. And then our job is to signpost our students, have you seen your doctor about this? Have you seen a mental health professional about this? Maybe you need to see a massage therapist. But still, those emotional needs have often been dumped on us. And that's okay. That is okay. I'm strong enough to hold that, and I know you are too. But then who is holding that space for you? Okay? So whatever you are giving a lot of or getting a lot of, who is holding that space for you? Okay, so I have an astrology mentor. She holds space for me once a month. We have an hour-long one-to-one conversation. She is holding me accountable. She is holding space for me. And this might be a friend. This might be a therapist you have. This might be a personal trainer you have. This might be a mentor you have. This might be a relationship you have with a family member. But what you're giving a lot of, who is giving that for you? Okay, really, really important question. Now, personal yoga practice. Okay, personal yoga practice. How is your relationship with your personal yoga practice? And what I'm going to say here might not be what you expect me to say. Okay. When you started yoga, in what way were you attending classes? What led you to fall in love with yoga? I was going to community group classes, just like what I teach. You might have been practicing online. You might have been learning from a book. You might have had a self-practice. But how was yoga delivered to you when you first fell in love with it? Okay. Then when it comes to after a teacher training or during teacher training, there suddenly sneaks up this pressure that you should have a personal at-home yoga practice. And if that's how you fell in love with yoga, great, great. But if you fell in love with yoga because you like being in a community class, what's wrong with you still having your needs met at a community class? There is a lot going on in a class that isn't just the yoga. You know, when we look through the lens of the nervous system, there is co-regulation happening when we come into a community. The brain gets to switch off when we're being led by a teacher and we can just indulge in the yoga. So if you've lost a little bit of a love for your personal practice, think back to how you were practicing when you loved it. And are you still meeting it in that way? And, you know, sometimes I think, oh, you know, yoga teachers, they must have their own personal practice at home. That's like saying to an accountant, you must go home and do arithmetic. Okay? If the accountant loved arithmetic, great. But if you loved your yoga by being in a class environment, get yourself to a class environment. And maybe you can't go weekly, and that's okay. What I do is I go when there's been a change in my schedule. So I've already mentioned this Thursday coming is polling day, so my venue is closed. That means I can go to my dear friend Lauren's 7:15 a.m. yoga class. So I feel excited. Oh my God, I get to go to Lauren's class. This Saturday, my husband is away, so I'm not wanting to spend the quality time with him, so I'm getting to go to my friend Sunita's Saturday morning class. So I make it a real treat when there's been a shift in my diary. And then for me, the rest of my practice is invariably a YouTube video. I'm going to put that out there. Now, for my meditation practice, I love Insight Timer. Okay? Love Insight Timer. A lot of them I lie down, I put headphones on, I'm really gentle to myself on my personal practice so that it is coming from a place of love rather than a place of discipline. You know, I am excited to go to class with Sunita. I'm excited to sit down and do a guided relaxation or meditation. Can you come at it as a place of love? Rather than this beating yourself over the head that you must have a personal yoga practice on your own, shut in your bedroom. That's like an accountant having to deal with arithmetic. If you enjoy a class, go to a class. You enjoy YouTube, go to YouTube. Mix it up. Okay. Right. A little bit of practical to wrap up. Okay. So we spoke about yoga not having to meet too many needs. And if you have other responsibilities in your life, you want to be solely present for them. When things get a little bit tricky is if you are permanently working on your yoga business with no boundaries or time blocking. So that goes like, you are picking your daughter up from school, yet at the same time you're just having to answer some quick emails that someone sent you about class. You're sat at home with the family having a movie and popcorn night, but you're also replying to comments on Instagram. You're wanting to do something with the kids on the weekend, but you've got to send a replay out. You have to separate your time so that you are not working on your yoga business all the time. Imagine it was an employed job and you had set hours. My husband's job is got core hours. I think it's like 9 till 12 and like 2 till 3 core hours when they have to be in business working on the business. Okay? And then they can be flexible with their time around that. I think I'd like you to set yourself some core hours that aren't yoga. Okay? So rather than core hours that must be business, I want you to set some core hours that must not be yoga. For the sake of this relationship, we need to have some separation. So I want you to get your diary out, or however you want to work this, and separate some times where you will not answer Instagram. You will not answer a student on WhatsApp. You will not answer an email. You will not just quickly do something on Canva. You will not read a yoga book. Okay? That you will be purely not yoga. Okay? So I really try hard on this on a Saturday, but I want you to be very strict, as much or as little, even if it's half an hour, or even if it's when you get in from class, you don't do anything. And this is about executing boundaries with our students. If you are always available, they will expect you to be always available. So if a student is WhatsApping you, can I book into a class on a Sunday? Don't reply, unless a Sunday is one of the days you do work on your business. But don't reply. Try ringing an accountant at 6 p.m. on a Sunday and saying, can we just file my tax return? Unacceptable. Yet if you are always there answering, you're telling your students that it is acceptable. You're telling your family members that it is acceptable. So I need you to be strict. Boundaries and time blocking, my loves. One more. Just because you love something doesn't mean you need to make it yoga. It is okay to keep things just for yourself. So an example of this, as I said, my friendship circle is predominantly yoga. It's not my students, it's other yoga teachers. And last summer solstice, we thought, wouldn't it be really lovely to get together and chant as the sun rose on the summer solstice. And we were all so tempted to make this an event for our students. But no, this is for us. And we just met, as I think there was 6 of us, at sunrise, and we chanted. There was a beautiful full moon later in the summer. We just met as us at the beach, did a full moon ceremony, did a sea swim under the full moon. Even if it is yoga tangential, it's okay to keep things just for you. You've been on a course and you're like, I love that, I have to share that with my students. You've been to an aerial yoga class and you suddenly think you must train in that. I have this in me as well. When we were in Taiwan, I went for an amazing knife massage and I'm on the couch thinking, I'm going to have to train in this. I'm going to have to come home, train, and then teach knife massaging. No, Laura. Just because you love something doesn't mean you have to make it a part of your business. Doesn't mean you have to share. It's like having a box of your favorite chocolates and just keeping them to yourself because you don't want to share. And that is okay. As an only child, I'm telling you that is okay. All right, my lovelies. So I have ranted at you a lot. There was some homework in there. Please, I need you to do the homework. Marriage counselling is about you doing the work. Write out all the important areas of your life. Exercise, food, work, purpose, family, friends, education, and see how many of those categories you are making yoga fulfill. Try and get it down to something around 50% so that you're not putting too much pressure and burning out this relationship. Please look at what are you most commonly giving your students or taking from your students and who is holding that space for you. I have someone that holds space for me 1 hour every month and I wouldn't be without it. Who is holding that space for you? Time blocking. Please work out the times of your day when you are not doing anything yoga. Not reading about it, not writing about it, not answering comments, nothing, okay? Just because you love something doesn't mean you have to bring it into your business. Keep that box of chocolates for yourself occasionally. That is all right. And go and read something that's not yoga. Go and do a course on something else. It'll filter in still anyway. Okay, so I hope that has been helpful for you. Those of you that have this book, the author of this book is going to be coming on the live show in a couple of weeks' time, so I look forward to sharing that. Only other thing to say is the 6-week mentorship program, Fast Track to Full. That is going to happen again, so if you're looking to work with me in a mentorship program, that is coming back end of July. It's on my website, or just send me a message. And have a good bank holiday weekend and make sure there's some non-yoga time. Bye for now.